Good morning and welcome to BevNet Live Winter 2022. I'm Ray Latif, the editor and producer of BevNet's Taste Radio podcast, the #1 podcast for the food and beverage industry. We're going to kick things off with the semifinal round of the New Beverage Showdown, BevNet Live's signature beverage brand competition. Sponsored by Venturing Emerging Businesses, an operating unit of the Coca-Cola Company, the Showdown gives 12 early-stage and promising brands the opportunity to present their business plans and products to a panel of expert judges and the audience here at BevNet Live. The winner of the two-day competition will receive a $10,000 industry awareness package and join a short list of brands that have triumphed in the showdown, including Health-Ade Kombucha, Hoplark, Rise Brewing, and Malk. Let's talk about the rules for the semifinal round. Each of the 12 brands presenting will have 2 minutes to present and receive 2 minutes of immediate feedback from the judging panel. The judges have already sampled the beverages this morning. If the contestants attempt to go longer than the 2 minutes, they'll hear the dreaded gong. There it is. You don't want to hear that. After all the brands have presented, the judges will pick 5 brands to move on to the final round, which takes place tomorrow. The 6th finalist will be chosen by audience vote. At the end of today's semifinal round, we're going to show a list of all of the participants and a number next to their name. Audience members in attendance and watching at home on the live stream can vote by texting the number corresponding with their favorite brand to a phone number that we'll provide. We're going to show that phone number at the end of the semifinal round. You'll have until 10 a.m. Pacific time to vote. Now let's meet our panel of esteemed judges. Beginning all the way to my left with Mike Schneider, who is the CMO of BevNet, also known as BevNet Mike. He's a serial tech CMO turned BevNet Nosh and Brewbound Chief Marketing Officer, and of course, a co-host of the #1 podcast for the food and beverage industry, Taste Radio. Next, we have Ken Sadowski, a beverage industry veteran, investor, and advisor known to many as the Beverage Whisperer. He is the senior advisor in the USA for Verlinvest, a Belgium-based investment company backed by the family-controlling beer giant AB InBev, as well as serving as a director at Vita Coco, Hint, and Life-Aid. Next, we have Bonnie Shaw, who is the CMO of LA Libations, a fully integrated next-generation beverage creator, incubator, and accelerator aligned with many of the country's largest and most influential retailers. LA Libations is also the key innovation partner of the Molson Coors Beverage Company. Last up, we have Matt Hughes, who is the VP of Emerging Brands for the New Revenue Streams unit at the Coca-Cola Company. Matt leads emerging brand commercial strategies across channels and routes to market, partners with NRS investment portfolio brands to accelerate growth, and leads integration of investment brands upon acquisition. In addition, Matt is developing incremental growth platforms for the Coca-Cola Company. This is a very experienced, very talented judging panel, and I'm excited for our presenters, for our competitors to hear from them. Let's hear from our first competitor. That is Kevin Kreider, who is the founder and CEO of Sans. Come on up. Hello. Please just keep an eye on your title.
I'm Kevin Kreider. I am the founder of Sans. It is a conversational beverage. This December 13th, I'm celebrating 7 years of continuous sobriety. I am in a 12-step program. Thank you. And before I was sober, my life was full of depression, anxiety. I got kicked out of my dad's home. That's embarrassing. And I even lost all my hair from alopecia areata, stress-induced hair loss. But as I was getting sober, I got an opportunity to move to Los Angeles, got on a Netflix reality TV show, the first of its kind. It's called Bling Empire. It is the first all-Asian American show on Netflix as a reality show. And on there, I got to actually share my sobriety story and my beverage, and the response was so overwhelming. So one thing I realized about being sober is I had nothing that actually represented me when I went out, when there was alcohol involved. Wine drinkers were sophisticated, tequila drinkers, you know, they're pretty wild. But when you go out as a sober person, you only had really just plain, boring water. Nothing spoke to me, nothing represented me. If anything, all those other beverages, you're trying to hide that you're not drinking. And it wasn't really good for you either. So I created Sans. It's 10 calories. And I come from the health and wellness field as well. I used to be a personal trainer. natural bodybuilder, exercise science, so I know what goes into a beverage, so I picked 2 key ingredients, ginseng and L-theanine. Ginseng because it's Korean, I'm Korean, and we're Asian-themed flavors mostly, and L-theanine because it comes from green tea, it gives you more of a calming effect. And also from my science background and being in supplements, I realized that a lot of people don't put the full dosages in, so I give a full 100 milligrams. So I want to ask you guys, are you willing to help me to help others to become a part of the buzz without the booze? And I want to hear the gong. No? No gong? Thank you. Thank you.
Very much. Well done. Pretty sure that's the first time anyone asked for the gong. Well done, Kevin. Mike, let's start with you. We're seeing a lot more alt cocktail companies come to market, beverages come to market. What do you think of Sans?
I really like the taste of Sans. The packaging is stunning. The question I have about the packaging is Sans with a strike through is a double negative, so it really means with. Just a technical thing there. And also the other piece of this is that if it's a beverage that you're going to be drinking all night and you put a full dose in, then you're not, you might end up overdosing on what you want to dose on. So maybe a third dose because, some of those nights get long, Kevin.
Ken, your thoughts on Sans within this context of emerging a category for non-alcoholic beverages?
Sure. I agree with Mike. I had actually written strike through as that is a sort of a miscommunication or miss in my mind. But what's in the bottle is great, can as it were. I also think that erythritol is so high on the panel of ingredients that if someone's getting multiple servings, that can be a digestive issue. So just wondering about the sweetener system.
Mm-hmm. Bonnie, at the bottom of the slide here, Sans is called or described as a conversational beverage. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think it can invite people to talk about why you are choosing to not drink. One thing that I think is a big part of the brand's identity is that it's really talking about the sober community. So if you think about scaling this brand, how can this brand represent others who maybe just are choosing not to drink tonight? If you lead with such a strong sober community, it might make other people feel like this is maybe not for them.
Mm-hmm. And Matt, let's talk about the scalability. What do you think about the market opportunity for a brand like Sans?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The category needs to be developed, right? So I think we're seeing more and more come into this space, but it needs to be a little bit better organized, especially at retail, so that consumers can kind of get to that space more easily.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of the taste?
Really good. I like it. The dragon ginger was real tasty.
I drink it anytime.
It's delicious.
It is good.
It's yummy.
Yeah.
All right. Great feedback. Well done. All right. Up next, we have Faye Babahani. I hope I got that right. From Bonbuzz. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Faye, and I'm the founder and CEO of Bonbuzz, a beverage company offering alcohol-free functional drinks that are pioneering the next generation of buzz. After having spent most of my youth indulging in alcohol-induced escapism, sorry, Mum, I realized that my drinking habits were becoming unsustainable and actually hindering me from achieving my ultimate potential. We launched our first products as alcohol alternatives designed to provide the buzz without the booze. Since launching in December of 2020, we've sold out multiple times, we've serviced wholesale customers in over 20 states, and we've won awards for taste and excellence. What we've learned from this are 3 things. Consumers love the functional buzz, the functional beverage category is huge, and consumers are demanding more convenient options for when on the go. We saw an opportunity to broaden our focus and wanted to create something the world has never tasted before for the times you need it the most, the midday pick-me-up. Something that's more full-bodied than sparkling water, healthier than a synthetic energy drink, and more crushable than a kombucha. Bonbuzz Functional Fizz is the lively answer to your slow descent. With 2 new flavors, Tomorrow Things is our hibiscus yuzu lime, and Bad Enough Already is our pineapple tamarind chili. both a medium-bodied, all-natural, low-calorie, flavorful explosions in the mouth that are completely free of any artificial ingredients. We've incorporated over 900 milligrams of a hyper-functional blend of nootropics and adaptogens to elevate you and energize you.
Thank you. I feel like everyone should get the gong, maybe because we started something together. To start doing that. Yeah. Ken, what do you think about the positioning of Bonbuzz as that midday pick-me-up beverage?
Well, one thing I would say is I'm glad I'm of a different generation because I attribute my success to alcohol. So,
Oh, Ken.
Oh, boy.
But no, I mean, I think it delivers on the bitterness, which I thought was a complex taste, which I guess will enable somebody to drink it slowly and enjoy it. So for that occasion, I do think it's a high-quality product.
Mm-hmm. Bonnie, in terms of the packaging, does it speak to that function and occasion?
I think it's a really fun idea, the packaging. I'm not sure if the samples that we got were prototypes or if they were finals, but I was going to say that you might be able to make it a little more premium by making the label go all the way. It's fun and busy. I think that, for one, I can't remember if on the can you write nootropics and kind of call out some of the fun functions, but I would definitely highlight that further. But I really like the name of your brand. Your flavor names are creative. Maybe just, I'm sure you'll keep refining it as you go along.
Mm-hmm. And Matt, it feels like Bonbuzz maybe sort of straddles that line between functional beverage and energy drink. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, and I'm curious as this gets out in the marketplace, if it's welcoming for all consumers or only those who are looking for an escape from alcohol. So I think there's the functionality, if it comes through stronger, perhaps could yield a larger audience for the product.
Mm-hmm. Mike is someone who describes himself as sober curious these days. What do you think about Bonbuzz?
I love Bonbuzz. I liked Rev 1 of Bonbuzz too. I think the flavors are super advanced, so you need to prepare someone for that because you never want to surprise somebody in a bad way when they have a beverage. You want them to look at a beverage, figure out what the flavor is, have them pick it up, love it, and then want more. Bad Enough Already is an interesting name for a flavor because I don't think you want to tell someone that your beverage is going to taste bad. And that's kind of what you're doing here. Like if you make the flavors the hero here, there's so much fun going on in this brand. And for someone like me who has contacts and is getting old, the fonts are a little small on the side of pack, and so are the call-outs. And those are really important. And Faye knows that I'll help out later. So this is, we'll chat, and there's a lot of great things going on in this beverage.
All right, great feedback. All right, next up we have Andrew Bagg from 8 Beverages. Come on up. Okay, hold on. Another clap. That was kind of lame. Come on, that's better. That's better. All right. Here's the microphone. Thank you. Just keep an eye on your time.
Hold on, let me get the water. Excuse me. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm the co-founder of 8 Beverages Company, and our first SKU is Ape Water. So we're not just water in a can, we are an experience. We are water for a new generation. And what we mean by that is tapping into the community of Web3. If Gatorade is a beverage of sports and Red Bull is a beverage of extreme sports, we're the beverage of Web3, the beverage of the future. So when you ape in, you're aping into sustainability, you're aping to change, and you're now an evolved ape instead of a de-evolved human. We license the top IP in the world and feature it on our can and give them a royalty. So we're evergreen, we're IP agnostic. The first IP we're featuring is Bored Ape Yacht Club. They're a $4.5 billion IP that's Web3 based, and they have a thriving community. When you drink Ape Water, you're tapping into a community-based initiative, and that community is very active, and they are into give back, they're into sustainability. So for example, I just came back from Miami Beach, where we did a Clean Miami Beach cleanup, where the proceeds of the sales of the can, 5 cents for every can that is consumed, goes to help communities in need of water. And the community showed up. We had hundreds of people show up early in the morning at 9 a.m. to clean the beach after drinking ape water the previous evening. So it was really powerful. We also are a tech company in disguise. When you scan our QR code, it creates a geofence around the area where you are. It creates a time-release POAP. So for example, today, if you had 8 beverages in your hand, you could scan the can, and then you would get a loyalty points that says, hey, I was here at BevNet, and now you create continuity. The BevNet knows that you were here. They can now engage with you and give you loyalty to come back. So we engage loyalty, we engage community, all through sustainability and through water. This is 8 Beverages. My name's Andrew, and thanks for considering us.
All right, well done. Oh, one of your bananas fell there. I'll take this, thank you. Oh, my goodness, bananas falling all over the place. All right. 8 Beverages, Ape Water. Bonnie, what are your initial thoughts on the brand?
I don't know if I'm really cool enough to comment on this brand's potential. I think Web3 NFTs, Bored Ape, I'm pretty sure it's like one of the coolest NFTs, right? So I think your guys' potential and launching a brand that comes with a community already is going to give you such a leg up. There's so much space for creativity for you guys. I know that Murder Your Thirst.
Liquid Death.
Liquid Death. I know that Liquid Death dropped NFTs too that were super successful in building their community in that space as well. So I think you guys are off to a good start. And the fact that you track your consumers so closely, you're going to really be able to understand how to engage and seeing where your consumer goes. So I think you guys really have a leg up here.
Yeah. Matt, Bonnie mentioned Liquid Death. Yeah. Liquid Death was up here on stage a few years back. Didn't even make it to the final round.
I remember.
Blame Mike.
My fault.
But yeah, do you see any potential for Ape Water to be that canned water that could compete in that space?
I think this one, brilliant the way they've created a platform that is already there. And so they're just leveraging a pre-existing approach to things. And so I think the consumer take is going to be high. Liquid Death has helped them a lot, I think, just paved the way for them with this kind of product. So no, I think there's big upside here.
Mm-hmm. Mike, seems like there was a lot of potential, a lot of excitement for NFTs. Actually, you're wincing at me. What do you want to say here?
I've paid more money in gas than anything in the crypto market, so I'm not very good at this. Also, this is probably my redemption moment, Ray. So I've got to just say, Ape Water's going all the way. This is the greatest idea, and I'm sure I think that this is a great idea. The NFTs. This is the most popular NFT there is. So everybody knows Bored Ape who knows about crypto and NFTs, and so if anyone can make it doing this, it's them.
Mm-hmm. Ken, as an investor advisor, do you understand the concept? Do you understand the proposition?
Well, I do appreciate the pitch. I wish he had left some of those bananas up here because my iPhone's not working, and maybe I can use one as a new phone. But what I would say is
those are apple, Ken.
Oh, that's apple.
Yeah.
I knew it was some kind of fruit. I just think about it as where does it fit in the real world? What is the price point? Where does it go? I like all the foundational stuff that has happened, but really, if Bonnie's not qualified to opine on this, then I'm not qualified to opine on it.
Okay, fair enough. Well done. Great feedback. All right, up next, we have Vanessa Royal, who is the co-founder and CEO of Tilden Cocktails. Come on up.
The past few years changed drinking habits. While top-level alcohol sales increased, digging deeper into the trends shows a bifurcation. Heavy drinkers leaned in, and more people than ever turned away from booze. I'm Vanessa. I'm one of the founders of Tilden Cocktails, and I'm what I call newly non-toxicated. My co-founder, Mariah, is a lifelong teetotaler, and she's from Las Vegas. While she had crafted sophisticated NA cocktails for herself since college, I was rather new to feeling that being served a bubbly canned water, no offense, Ape Beverage, at a fancy party made me feel like I was being relegated to the kids' table. While getting our MBAs at Harvard Business School, every soiree and networking event centered around alcohol, and we were not the only ones frustrated by this. We found a crew of social self-optimizers, people simply too busy for wasted weekends who wanted to engage with people at these drinking events and not feel left out. So we set out to create beverages that would live up to the occasions we were attending. For a year and a half, we worked in our kitchens with commercial formulators and finally in a home-built lab to develop our first 3 flavors. Our cocktails are ready to drink, each featuring a distinctive beginning, middle, and finish, and a unique interrupter that makes you sip and swirl. They contain no added sugar, no adaptogens, and no preservatives. Our bottles are designed for proud gift giving and to add to an aesthetic tablescape or bar cart. Last spring, we sold prototypes around Boston and at Harvard, and our early customers were serving Tilden at their weddings, bachelorette parties, poker nights, and even murder mystery parties. Moving forward, we're planning to launch via our website. We're doing a pre-order in just a few weeks, and we'll be selling in community-based shops around Boston. Thank you so much for your time, and cheers to transforming the way people celebrate one Tilden at a time.
Well done. Matt, let's start with you. We've seen Coke get into alcoholic beverages. Would they ever get into non-alcoholic cocktails?
Done that before, actually.
Oh yeah?
In the past, but Bar None was a product we had in the marketplace.
What do you think about the potential for Tilden?
It's really interesting because this approach is more the liquid is more mainstreamable. It's more what you would expect, I think, to get from a pretty established cocktail base without the alcohol. So for me, very tasty. But the confusing part is there's so many approaches to this category. Mm-hmm. And so they're very disparate types of taste profiles, et cetera. It's a little bit of noise right now, and it's going to take some time, and like I was saying earlier, for the category to get some strength around it. And then I think they can all fly with that.
Mm-hmm. Mike, we've tried a lot of non-alcoholic cocktails in the office. What are your thoughts on Tilden in terms of taste?
It definitely tastes like a cocktail. The smoky and oaky is smoky and oaky, especially at 7 a.m., just saying. So I think, as a non-alc cocktail, this is a non-alc cocktail. I think one thing is just because you're building a category, and I know it was fun to say newly non-intoxicated, but I don't think you want to prevaricate here. I think you want to say, I don't drink, or I'm sober curious, because those are the words people are using right now. And you need to grab onto some of the, quote, category cues to build up a category. If everybody's doing something different, then the category fails. Mm-hmm.
I know you take about a month off from imbibing. Ken, would you ever
couple of times a year, actually.
Yeah.
No, but one question I have is the packaging that's on the screen is not the packaging that we had. Excuse me, we had. So is it a flask or is it this bottle?
Can't ask questions, Ken.
I believe the flask.
No cap. I can ask questions.
I believe the flask was a sample. The bottles you see on the screen are really the full size.
Yeah. Okay. Because, bootleggers were called bootleggers because the flask stuck in their boot. And so that would be another, really interesting packaging twist there. But as Mike said, I do think the complexity of the flavor comes out. We had 2 of them. It looks like there's 3 executions here. But I think it's really well done.
Mm-hmm. Bonnie, in terms of communicating what Tilden represents to the community and to the people they're trying to represent or they're trying to reach, what are your thoughts?
I think the packaging and the bottle size communicates that this is a drinking occasion, which is really neat. I think your logo looks like an olive, right? So it even communicates that it is another drinking occasion. What I really like about your non-alc product is it's not complicated. It really is about taste and flavor. It's not crowded with adaptogens that you have to try to communicate to a consumer. It's not over-consuming. It's just about the flavor and the experience of it, which I think is what a fancy cocktail is supposed to be. So I think that's spot on.
Ken?
The other question that I have about this genre of category is, what is the shelf life? Because once that's opened and there's no alcohol in it as a preservative, they can be as short as 7 to 10 days. And that's going to be another, potential breakdown.
All right. Well, if Vanessa gets to the final, I'm hoping she can address some of those questions. All right. Well done. Up next, we have Evan Smiga, who is the co-founder of Volé. Come on up. Hopefully I got your last.
Good morning, everyone. I am Evan, one of the co-founders of Volet Caffeinated Sparkling Water. Volet is just 3 simple ingredients: sparkling water, natural flavors, and 50 milligrams of organic caffeine from green coffee beans. Volet was born when my co-founder Matt and I both found each other working in the long-houred world of investment banking after college. We were drinking copious amounts of coffee, and as health-conscious individuals, energy drinks didn't fit the bill. And even the so-called healthy versions, with the sugar-free marketing jargon but containing sucralose and highly populated nutrition panels and high caffeine content, just seemed downright dangerous. Simultaneously, we're avid sparkling water drinkers, and one long night we thought to ourselves, why can't our basic, beloved seltzer waters do just a little more for us? And thus, Volet was born. Just 3 simple ingredients, nothing we put in our cans you can't pronounce. Volet sits in a unique category that is the combination between 2 of some of the fastest growing segments in non-alcoholic beverage, energy and sparkling water. A largely underpenetrated segment with massive upside potential as a beverage with a multitude of use cases from a consumption perspective. From a packaging perspective, we opted for simplicity. We wanted our clean, simple ingredient panel to resonate onto the can and for our consumer to understand exactly what they were consuming from the minute they pulled it off the shelf. In retail, you can find us in all the Fresh Market locations, select Wegmans locations, as well as other independent retailers, and of course, in the sample fridges here. So grab a Volet and stay hydrated and invigorated. Thank you.
Definitely need to stay hydrated and invigorated to be on this judging panel. Mike, are you feeling that way after sampling Volet?
Definitely. I don't understand caffeinated water because I drink coffee, so I don't think this is for me personally, but I do. I really like the flavor of this, so I kind of wanted it to not be caffeinated because I want to crush it all day because it's super effervescent. The flavors are very thoughtful, and there's something to be said for a super eloquent pitch that ends early too. Like you came up, you said what you wanted to say, you nailed it, and I mean kudos for that too.
Mm-hmm. Ken, we've seen more than a few caffeinated waters come to market. What do you think of what Volet is doing?
I think it's well done. I think one of the things that they've got to figure out from a messaging standpoint, it's a balance of refreshment or functionality, because people are going to gravitate towards one of those or the other, not both. So that's going to be the, I guess, inherent challenge. But it's well done. Flavor's good. Caffeine doesn't leave any bitter notes. So it's well done.
Okay.
Bonnie, can you comment on the label design?
I think it's beautiful. I think the color gradient is pretty popular right now. For me, when looking at this, aside from the fact that you do write sparkling caffeinated water on the top, if I were looking on a shelf, I don't know that would immediately speak to me. If you are next to the sparkling waters, maybe that's your best way. But if you were in an aisle or on a shelf somewhere else in a different category, I think you might have a harder time getting people to recognize that this is a caffeinated sparkling water. But I really like the taste. I thought it was a little tart. I think maybe you could use a few flavors that might trick the mind in creating some sweetness so that it's more balanced. But I think if I were to, he really likes tart. We debated about this. But it's beautiful, and your flavors are really nice as well.
We had a little scrap about this in the judging room.
I had to break it up.
Don't distract Bonnie. Mike, she's trying to give some feedback and advice here. Matt, in terms of the opportunity for a brand like this on the market, do you see it as being large? Do you see it as being niche? Do you see it sort of being middle of the road?
It's a huge profit pool, right? Sparkling water and then functionality. So the bridge, to Ken's point, bridging those two is the trick here. It's going to be tough. And obviously the sparkling water space is so crowded now and with all kinds of different stratification. So it's a great place to play for sure. The question is, will the functionality come through enough to get consumers over there?
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. All right. Up next, we have Ruth Williams, who's the founder and CEO of Erity. Come on up. Hello. Please keep an eye on your timer.
Okay. Good morning. Did you know that iced tea was the most widely consumed beverage in the world next to water? Surprisingly, that means 80% of Americans who drink iced tea on a daily basis most likely have consumed synthetic tea powders, oils, essence, and sweeteners that are actually 200 times more sweeter. But I'm here to change that. My name is Ruth Brahane Williams, and I'm a third-generation, self-proclaimed tea connoisseur, founder and CEO of Airy Tea. Airy Tea is the first all-female, minority-owned iced tea beverage company that was created with my family's 105-year-old generational recipe and gives what most conscious consumers are demanding today. Airy Tea spice blends are a powerful differentiator for us. We have 3 flavors, Spiced Original, Spiced Lemon, and Spiced Raspberry, all of which are pure, healthy, and unique, bursting with flavor yet subtle enough for the everyday tea drinker. Most importantly, we are steeped in history that dates back in time, we are grounded in culture, and we are mission-driven. Although we just launched the tail end of 2021, we have caught the attention of Myers, Albertsons, Giant, Stop & Shop, and KeHE National Distributors. Judges, who's ready to help Airy Tea increase and expand visibility within the first 2 quarters of 2023 so that we can add some spice to everyone's life? Thank you.
All right. Well done. Ken, let's start with you. I know you've seen a lot of iced tea brands come to market. Do you think Airy Tea differentiates enough to stand out?
Excuse me. I think the liquid is great. I think the packaging needs to communicate much more than it's communicating now. The pitch was great. It was short. It was succinct. I want to retry the product after hearing that because I just said, okay, this is good tasting tea. Makes me wonder what the price point is. And obviously, plastic packaging with this wrap, again, I look at that as something that would evolve. But premium to me would be glass for this quality product.
Bonnie, steeped in history, mission-driven, are these attributes that tea consumers are looking for, or beverage consumers in general?
Absolutely, and I think the younger generation are demanding as well. How are you helping the world? What are you doing? And I think you have such a wonderful story. I went to your website and read about how you created and why you created, and so there's a whole bag of goodies that I feel like you're not calling out on, even in your packaging, where you can talk about how you help how you help farmers or ingredient sourcers. You can call all of that. I thought the flavor of your product was absolutely delicious. And then I turned around the bottle and it was 21 grams of sugar. But that's okay. It can be an indulgent tea, right? But I also think that your flavors are so strong, you may be able to find some tactics to lower that and really let your spices kind of be the hero of the product.
Matt, Coke has refined its tea strategy in recent years. What do you think about Airy Tea and its potential on the market?
Yeah, I really, obviously a huge space. I mean, as she mentioned in her presentation. The spice angle is really interesting to me because you don't see a lot of that come through on packaging or in formulation. So I think that's a differentiator that could be amplified, frankly. It's quite interesting.
Mike, you get the last word on Airy Tea.
Ray, I agree with my very good friend Bonnie about there's a great story in here that isn't coming through on the pack. But that said, the flip side of that is it looks like an iced tea and it tastes like an iced tea. So that's really good. So a consumer's going to see that. The flavor cues are appropriate. Lemon is lemon, raspberry is raspberry. Original, yeah, that's what original tea should look like. So, I mean, you could win with some of the stuff. The thing that just comes to mind right now for me, and that's triggering my OCD or whatever, is like it's original lemon raspberry. So like lemon all in caps is strange for me, but I think there's definitely some package tweaking that can happen. And I'd love to see this be more premium. I'd love to see women owned on the label somewhere at least, but there's so much more you can do with this.
All right, good feedback. Up next, we have Jason Romsberg, who is the CEO and founder of Running Lights. Come on up. How are you?
Hello. Hi, I'm Jason, founder of Running Lights, a refreshing new functional soda that meets evolving demand for healthier choices and higher expectations. Thank you to BevNet. It's an honor to participate in this new beverage showdown. Our vision is to become your go-to drink when you're on the road and on the run. We're driven to inspire adventure and to push you further. Keep your running lights on. We are all vulnerable to making out-of-character eating and drinking choices when we're on the go. What if there was a more nutritious, energizing drink that could also be our hangry solution? Well, as a physician and a frustrated consumer dissatisfied by the lack of healthier options, I set out to create a new beverage for like-minded consumers, one that tastes good, quenches thirst, without the guilt, a smarter soda. Uniquely formulated with protein, vitamins, and electrolytes, our drink is just that, something you can feel good about and trust. Take my wife, Kristen, for example. Usually thinks I'm crazy, but she trusts and loves Running Lights. With its quality ingredients, a protein boost like a snack, and moderate caffeine profile, it's just what we need to get through our busy days. Our can has a story inspired by the hardworking father-in-law and his Kenworth, a team that inspire us to keep our running lights on. We have 3 delicious flavors: crazy berry, mango, and citrus. At a targeted retail price of $3, we've secured space. Keep your running lights on.
Well done. Bonnie, let's start with you. Jason talked about the proposition for Running Lights and what they're trying to, how they're trying to reach new consumers. Did you get that out of the packaging, the can?
I think it communicated who you're targeting well, and when you see a truck on your packaging, you immediately can tell that, oh, this is for people who are on the go constantly, who may need this pick-me-up to kind of get through their drive. I do think that your packaging may limit you to that one consumer of maybe a truck stop or a convenience gas station, pick up this product. Around there. I didn't get the call-outs of protein and electrolytes. This drink is a lot more balanced than I had realized when we sampled. So I would definitely call out that it has protein and electrolytes further in the packaging so that it will help you keep your running lights on. I would tie that in a little more.
Mm-hmm. Seems like there's a multi-function, multi-use, different day part use for Running Lights. What do you think of that opportunity, Matt?
Yeah, the notion of a smarter soda, right? So we've seen that before, or a highly functional soda. I want to go back and look at this when we review this again. I didn't pick up on all the functionality from the packaging itself. It was a bit busy and a lot going on the can. So I think if there is real credible functionality, it's a real opportunity. But a crowded space.
Yeah. Mike, I didn't get to taste this product. What do you think of the taste?
It tastes, it's very sweet. It's a good tasting beverage, but it makes you want to turn to the can and see what, how much sugar is in the beverage. I think the vibe of it is super cool. Like the Days of Thunder for Trucks vibe that I'm getting is pretty awesome here. So I think there's some fun things you could do with the brand. The thing that I guess I'd call out here is that if it's a drink that you get on the road, you're going to need to be in the places that people are going versus the places that they are. You want them to take it with them, but you want them to also be able to find it when they're traveling. So you're going to have to be in, if it is for truckers, it's going to have to be in all the truck stops, which is going to be challenging.
Ken, I know you're chopping at the bit.
I think kitchen sink comes to mind when I think about the ingredient panel. There's just so much going on. Is it a refreshment occasion? Is it a functional occasion? And how does one communicate all of those things? It's just, to me, there's some really foundational stuff to work with here, but it's just too much.
All right, good feedback. Up next, we have Dominic Purpura, who is the founder of Mellow Water. Come on up.
Okay, first of all, I brought this up here because I bought this January 1st of this year. This is a water bottle with almost every city in America on it. The reason I say that is because we have the best product. I think we have a category that's untapped. I think we're taking shelf space from coconut water. I could go on and on about that, but we are hustling. We launch in almost every single city in America by January of this year. And essentially what Mela is watermelon juice in a can. It's high in sugar. All the sugar comes from the fruit itself, so we're not hiding from that. And I think that even people on a ketogenic diet are consuming those fruit sugars. I think that watermelon water is taking, like I said, shelf space from something like coconut water. I think our industry has a lot of potential. We're selling truckloads to Texas for truck drivers and construction workers, and we're selling truckloads to distributors that are putting us in lunchrooms and schools. I think that says volumes to our product and the taste, the quality, as well as where we get the product from. We import all of our product from overseas, where watermelons are ripe almost 365 days a year. So it allows us to have like a product that is consistent and ever flowing. The last thing I'd like to say is, well, I mean, I kind of said, I guess I finished a little early. I got concise to the point. I think that one thing that I keep going back to is I think that we're getting so many SKUs so quickly and growing in all categories, which has made us such a special product compared to most other people. We're not boxing ourselves into a certain demographic or a certain age, and we're finding that people from kids to mothers to construction workers are drinking Mela all over the country. So thank you guys.
Wow.
Thank you. All right, nicely done. Matt, let's start with you. Dominic talked about Mela as reaching an untapped market for watermelon water. We've seen similar types of products or beverages come to market, but what do you think of this opportunity?
Yeah, of course. Watermelon Water was a brand that was around a while back. Actually, we invested in that brand through Venturing Emerging Brands. I don't know about the category as a standalone category. We didn't see it develop to be a significant category back then. Don't know what's going to happen now. In terms of the crossing over between stealing coconut water consumers, et cetera, that he mentioned, that's interesting. Sort of gets to the super hydration exploration area, right? So that's what it's all about, this idea of this highly functional way to get people hydrated better. So that has real opportunity, and it crosses over so many different categories.
Mm-hmm. Mike, there's a lot on the screen about the benefits, the health benefits of watermelon. Did you get that in the packaging?
I do. I think the packaging is, I like the packaging, and the pitch is very different from what I was expecting. I think there's a lot of over-promising in this pitch. Choose some words here and just go for them. You've got like newest, most innovative functional hydration beverage in the world for every audience, and you talked about hustling in every city in America, which I think you meant every major city or every capital city maybe, because I didn't see Newton. But I think I get like the passion, and I appreciate it, and I love it, and I think you can convey that in a way that doesn't overpromise, because you're going to have to deliver on it, and it's going to be a lot harder than you think.
Yeah. Ken, I love the taste of watermelon water. I do want to taste this product. What do you think of the taste?
Taste is very good. One point of differentiation between Mela and the other entries into this category is this is shelf stable. So I wonder what that does for efficacy. Why are the other ones perishable? This one's not. I also remember a 16-ounce execution. Now it's down to 12. And I also, just unrelated, when someone goes to all of those cities, it's the antithesis of inch wide and mile deep. So before you're getting consumer feedback, you are in way too many stores, potentially. I don't know anything about the brand.
Mm-hmm. And Bonnie, do you think that more and more consumers are looking for products like these, a hydration beverage with a natural ingredient like watermelon?
Yeah, I think so. I think people are accepting fruit sugars as a way of getting nutrients in it. So I think watermelon water is more palatable than coconut water for the U.S. consumer. I think everybody knows that on a summer day, watermelon is the hydrating beverage. So I think you have a lot of things working in your favor. Your brand is really fun. Ken said it, the biggest thing that I think distinguishes you from your competitors is the fact that you're shelf stable. That's going to allow you to go everywhere. I would say that there is a opportunity where you are sourcing from Vietnam. I think you could do a mission there. I think you could really get people to rally behind your brand for a cause. So I would probably look into that.
All right, excellent feedback. Up next, we have Fred Nyam, who is the founder of Artisan. Come on up.
Did you know that your body is comprised mostly of bacterial cells and not human cells? In fact, you have between 10 to 40 trillion bacterial cells living in your body right now, mostly in your small intestine, known as the gut biome. And as it turns out, your gut biome can significantly affect your digestive health, your mental health, and your immune health. Hi, everyone. I'm Fred Nyam. I'm the founder of Artisan Beverages. And I've suffered from irritable bowel syndrome my entire life. It wasn't until my symptoms had become so severe that a doctor recommended I do 2 cycles of antibiotics to clear my gut biome and start from scratch. It was at that point I decided to seek an alternative solution, and after doing a lot of research, I realized that incorporating naturally fermented vinegars in my diet, I could balance my gut biome and alleviate all my symptoms. I did just that. I would take 1 to 2 tablespoons a day, put in my water bottle, and drink it on my way to the office. Yet, I could never find a beverage product that incorporated high-quality vinegars, was low in sugar, and tasted great. That's why I created our line of prebiotic tonics that pairs naturally fermented vinegars with fruit juices and botanicals. They come in 3 distinctive flavors: fig pear lavender, plum yuzu, and pomegranate ginger hibiscus. They're all vegan, super low in sugar, low in calories, and have naturally occurring prebiotics, postbiotics, and organic acids that target your digestive and immune health. What's really cool about our product is that we source some of the best vinegars in the world. They come from the oldest and largest aged vinegar brewery located in the Gongwa Islands of South Korea, and each vinegar undergoes a 3-year-long fermentation process, making it smoother in taste and a lot richer in micronutrients. Thank you all very much for your time and consideration. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do.
All right, Mike, not Mark.
Yes.
Mike,
yes,
let's start with you. Again, like some of the other beverages we saw, we do see a lot of these types of products come to our office, prebiotic tonics, prebiotic seltzers, sodas, whatnot. What do you think of the opportunity within that context, for Artisan, that is?
I mean, I think there is, using prebiotic tonic, it's a category that is growing. You've got the Sunwink Waku, you've got Tionic, you've got others that are in there that they taste really good and they pay off in terms of their value proposition. So I think you can lean into that a bit. I think yours is different though. So I hadn't had this sorts of vinegar before, and I wasn't expecting vinegar because you need to warn someone that they're going to be drinking vinegar because it will get you. Oh, I'm drinking vinegar. You don't know that when you're drinking this, and as I said before, you don't want to surprise somebody in a quote bad way. The flavor is good. I mean, you pay off the fig pear, the plum yuzu, the palm ginger. I also am curious about what it would taste like sparkling, but we can talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. Ken, how do you evaluate a product like this, function-forward product like Artisan?
Carefully. No, what I would say is I think the hero is the brand, so Artisan needs to be at the top of this message. Prebiotic tonic is an important call-out, so is the flavor. But the hero is the brand, and the brand is like almost as small as the ounce, the serving size. So that's one piece of feedback. The other thing I would say is It does have a pungent odor, but the flavor, the actual taste, is much better than the smell. So the bite is better than the bark, and that would be something that I would try to communicate, as Mike alluded to.
Mm-hmm. Bonnie, let's stay on that. I mean, it definitely feels like a premium beverage. How are you thinking about and evaluating that label design?
I think it's beautiful. I think it's a really beautiful package. I think your flavors are very sophisticated. I think the colors that you've used creates a beautiful contrast. I think Ken's right. Your brand name is pretty small, so I would probably build that up, and maybe to work with calling out vinegar. You know, maybe it's artisan vinegar tonic. I do think that the flavor was really strong. I think your product could really work as a shot format as well, to kind of get away from the beautiful sting of vinegar.
And Matt, you get the last word on artisan.
I did know about the 3-year process through the vinegar brewery. That's very special, that craft of that and the value of that's being put in the product. So love to see that called out in a stronger way in terms of messaging.
All right, great feedback. It was, yeah. All right, up next we have Luis Manta, who is the founder and CEO of Soul Juice. Come on up.
Hey, my name is Luis Manta, and I'm the founder of Soul Juice, a super hydration product made with just 3 ingredients: water, Korean pears, and lemons. That's it. We don't use natural flavors, we don't use citric acid, and we don't use hyper sweeteners either. So why did I come up with Soul Juice? I was a Division I soccer player at St. Louis University and an Arsenal fan. And I had an allergic reaction to red dye number 40, found in a lot of typical sports drinks people typically consume today. And I thought, this is disgusting. I want clean ingredients in my body. And I absolutely hated coconut water. I'd plug my nose and I'd chug it just to get it out of the way. So I started blending ingredients in my dorm room and came up with Soul Juice. I self-funded the business, and we are profitable. So, what does Soul Juice taste like? It tastes like a less sugary apple juice with half the sugar of apple, orange, and pomegranate juice, and has as much potassium as a banana. We are currently growing extremely fast. We are in 5 states across the nation, and we'll have national distribution next year. And for my party people that are going to be drinking after this, Korean pear juice is scientifically proven to help with hangovers. I appreciate the time and consideration and hope you all get to try Soul Juice. Thank you.
All right. Ken, as a Manchester United fan, what do you think about Soul Juice?
I don't like the Arsenal pandering at all.
I love it.
But are you starting with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I like the 3 ingredients. I like the crux of just the simplicity of the message. I do like the liquid as well. I think there's some work to be done on the label, and then obviously, since No Cap over here said I can't ask questions, that, you know, I don't know what the price point is and some of the other factors, but it is, I mean, it clearly is refreshment, and why deviate from that message?
Mm-hmm. Bonnie, I think this is the first Korean pear juice beverage that I've seen on the market. You know, in terms of education, communication, do you see this as a tough road ahead, or is it pretty intuitive about what what Soul Juice is?
I think on the packaging, it doesn't really call out that I know there's Korean pear juice, but I don't think anybody knows what a Korean pear, the benefits of it. Japanese and Korean pears are my favorite fruit because they're so juicy, but they kind of taste like a sweet water. And so I think if you're thinking about a pear, I'm not sure if this is an electrolyte water or if this is supposed to be a juice. So I would try to call it out more and really distinguish what you are. The taste is good. It tastes like a Korean pear, but it's light. It's really, really light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you think of the taste, Matt?
I like the taste. It was approachable for me. I think the opportunity I see is if this can play a role in the very large sort of enhanced sports hydration space, which I think that's what he's trying to do. That's a huge space. And we're seeing some real disruptors start to play in that space, right? Electrolyte, BioLite, et cetera. So that's a huge opportunity if you can get the messaging right, the packaging right to participate in that area.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get the Gunner's point of view. I'm sorry, Gooner.
Thank you. I'll accept either. So I think the branding is cute. It pulls you in. It says what it is. It tastes great. I think you'll be in a boardroom somewhere talking to an investor, or you're going to have questions about, it's Korean beverage, no Korean founder. I think, so you just have to be prepared for how to answer that. I think, I like the whole value proposition of, I needed a better hydration that isn't coconut water. You're also, as Bonnie pointed out before, hasn't seen another Korean pear beverage, and usually, Korean pears have been around and no one's made a beverage, so sometimes there's a reason for that, and I don't know what it is right now, but you might find out. And I hope you find out that it's just because no one thought of it versus it was difficult to source, or something along those lines that makes you run into a brick wall. So,
all right, good stuff. Up next, we have Jing DiPiero, who is the founder and CEO of Plants by People. Come on up. Hey.
Good morning. I'm Jing DiPiero, the founder and CEO of Plants by People. We have this organic fruit and botanical beverage blends as a wellness alternative to tea, coffee, and ready-to-drink beverages. And we have 5 flavors in retail and DTC. I grew up in Beijing, developed resistance to antibiotics from a very young age. So I was introduced to herbal medicine years ago. And I traveled to many parts of the world to study plants and collected local remedies. And in 2013, I founded a global medical education business to train physicians on both sides of the Pacific Ocean. And to me, I have learned self-care is the best investment individually. Collectively, it's a solution to reverse the uncontrollable healthcare spending in America and improve socially and financial well-being of our families and communities. So here's the Plants by People. We use only organic, naturally healthy ingredients, and nutrient-dense and no synthetic compounds. We're adamant about no added sugar to support low-sugar diet and diabetic-friendly. I thank my children for challenging me to make beverages in a sachet and as a more sustainable solution. And Plants by People may not give you the crystal clear beverage, the best flavor profile. Nature is never meant to be perfect, but we're the perfect solution if you're looking for long-term vitality and overall health. Thank you so very much.
Great work. All right, Bonnie, let's start with you. What do you think about this sort of mission and focus of Plants by People?
Mission and focus?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called out. I'd love to know what you're doing to bring out sustainability. Maybe it's because you are in the powders. But I really like this product. I think it's delicious. I like the multiple functions. I like the ethos behind it, and kind of herbal medicines to fight healthcare. I think it's a beautiful brand.
Mm-hmm. Matt, in terms of powdered beverages, we've seen various levels of success. What do you think about the opportunity for Plants by People?
Yeah, so we've seen now a real increase in these sort of adjacent spaces like sachets and tablets, et cetera. One of the past winners, last winner of this challenge, Showdown, was that. So consumer adoption is much higher now. I love it because, one, the sustainability piece, also the ability to have real strong margin enhancement through the adjacent plays. So direct to consumer set up beautifully as well. So it's a really nice place to play if you can get it right.
Mm-hmm. Mike, sometimes there is some challenges with mixing powders into water. What was the formulation like for you?
I think this one is it's good when it's concentrated and it's good when it's diluted. So I think you can drink this out of your big Nalgene or out of a smaller cup, whatever you have available. So you can take it on a plane, you can take it anywhere you want. As has already been said, the branding is beautiful. I think in terms of the pitch, Jing, well done. Like you memorized the whole pitch and you said all of the right things. But I think I would make sure that showing the flavors and a little bit more about the market opportunity, and go into this a little more of the story of the brand, because it's stunning and it'll just help you going forward in any pitch that you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And Ken, the last word on Plants by People.
I think sometimes it's just easy to say that these guys hit the nail on the head, and we can go on to the next brand.
We can, because there's 0 time left on the clock here. So, all right. Our final semifinalist for this round, we're all the way to the end here. I can't believe it. Is Sierra Thomas, the founder of Pink Cloud Beverages. Come on up. Hello.
Aloha, my name's Sierra. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, paddleboard fiend, and travel junkie, and founder of Pink Cloud Beverages. I grew up working in the media and advertising industry for over a decade. If you can imagine, it's an extremely fast-paced world filled with tons of distractions, temptations, and if you can imagine Mad Men, if you know the show, it's that times 10. I got really, really tired of letting my wellness take a back seat, and I also got tired of waking up with a wicked hangover on repeat. The Sober Curious movement wasn't quite ready here, and I wasn't willing to give up my social life for anxiety of what to order at the bar. I was tired of the status quo, sugary mocktails packed with calories, side glances from labels, wondering if I was pregnant. When I could not find the non-alcoholic beverage I wanted, well, I decided to create it. Pink Cloud Beverages is a premium non-alcoholic functional beverage with a swell of tropical fruits from the islands that I love so much, powered with 30 milligrams of broad-spectrum hemp, the sunshine vitamins. Let's face it, I don't live on the islands anymore. With only 20 calories, 2 grams of sugar, utilizing a custom blend of monk fruit and allulose derived from figs, raisins, and maples, so it doesn't metabolize the same way, making it a great option for my high-maintenance keto husband or my friends that are diabetic. It's a great way to transport anyone to a tropical state of mind, whether sober like myself, sober curious, taking a night off, taking a month off, or Ken, if you want a cocktail vacation in a can at home in the comfort of your house. My goal is to transport everyone to a tropical state of mind. Close your eyes, feel the breeze, stick your toes in the sand, and check out the horizon, and cheers to Pink Cloud.
Good stuff. All right, Matt, let's start with you. Interestingly, we haven't seen too many in the most recent competitions, hemp or CBD type of beverages. I think 3 years ago, like half of them were.
Right.
So less entrance into the space, but what are your thoughts on Pink Cloud?
Yeah, so that is I think the limiting factor is for this kind of product is the retailer acceptance. We've just seen so much limited there because of regulatory concerns and et cetera in that space. Clearly, I like the linkage the founder's making to Sober Curious, et cetera, the non-alcoholic play versus previously it was all the functionality of hemp or CBD. So an interesting twist on things. Maybe it works this time around.
Yeah. Mike, again, taste is really important. CBD, hemp beverages sometimes have that issue, but what do you think of the taste of Pink Cloud?
I've had more than my fair share of Pink Cloud. It was in the office, and it was in we had it in the ALK fridge, which I sometimes call the danger fridge because I'm sober curious, and because it has CBD, and found it and just started to really enjoy this product. I mean, couple of just pieces of feedback. Pink Cloud is, you can't see the brand from where you're looking at it right now. It's on the side of the label, which it doesn't hurt you in this case because you get the chill vibes, and it's just beautifully done in terms of I know exactly what vibe you're going for. And I'm really curious about craft hemp, and I think that's something to maybe lean into because this idea of, it doesn't tell me it's CBD, but it tells me like that I cared about the hemp, which is really important in a world where we don't know what kind of hemp we're getting or CBD we're getting.
Mm-hmm. Ken, what do you think about the positioning of this brand as a tropical state of mind?
I mean, there have been brands like Vacation in a Bottle that were out before, even though it was in a can. I thought that was a really big miss for them. But I like a lot of the essence of the brand. I think the execution needs some work, but it is beautifully packaged. But as Mike said, I think it's a miss that you can't, even in your glamour shot there, you can't see what the brand is.
Mm-hmm. And Bonnie, you get the last word of the semifinal round. Can you talk about the label hierarchy for Pink Cloud and if anything in particular stands out for you?
Yeah, I think everybody kind of brought it up. The name of your brand is not in the front. I think your branding is so beautiful, and the vibe that you created here, I think people would reach for your product. I think that from a formulation standpoint, I think you did a really good job at masking the taste of hemp, because it usually doesn't taste good, and you did that with only 2 grams of sugar. I think you could even up the amount of juice that you have in it just to make it a little, just a little more enjoyable. But I think that what you've done here is it's very beautiful.
Outstanding. You know, every time we do these competitions, I always mention how difficult it is to get up here for 2 minutes, express your passion, all the hard work that you've put into your brand. Honestly, I get a little emotional about it because I know how hard you all have worked. And I just want to say congratulations on getting to this point. Congratulations for your wonderful presentations today. Before we break, I do want to just go to the judges one more time. 6 of these brands are going to move on to the final round. I know you all have worked on presentations for the final round, but if you're going to tweak those and address some of the questions that the judges have, let's talk about those. So, Matt, what would you want to see really stand out in some of these presentations tomorrow? What should they be highlighting?
Yeah, again, the no question zone. As they have more time tomorrow, retail price point, route to market, shelf stable versus refrigerated, et cetera, all the other things, co-manufacturing. How are they thinking about their business more holistically?
Mm-hmm. Bonnie?
I think it's what's your pull strategy? Well, how are you going to get people to get your product off the shelf? Or if you're D2C, how are you going to build your community so that people know about your product? How are you going to make your product move?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ken?
I would say just your basics of what's your price, where is it positioned, where is it in proximity to who you perceive your competitors or peers to be.
And Mike?
Market opportunity, pricing, just how do you plan to attack this market, and what do you need to do it right now, and do you part of this is, do you have the means to do it? And if you don't, guess what? There are people here that can help you. That's why you're in the first place. So,
Matt.
There you go.
Yeah. Before we reveal the voting board, I just want to say what an amazing judging panel we had. How blessed we are to have these folks on stage with us. Thank you so much. Okay, we are now going to show that voting board. Once again, there's going to be a number associated with each brand. Please text that number to the code that you see here. Excuse me. Text the code that you see to the number on the screen. That's 310-299-9280. I highly encourage people to vote as often as they can. Please, contestants, send it out to your social media channels. It's really important because, well, look, there you go. People are already voting. So you're going to have until 10 a.m. Pacific time to vote. People watching at home, please vote as well. Until 10 o'clock is when we get back on the main stage. Until then, please stay tuned for our live stream studio, our Taste Radio studio, which begins at 9:35 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to be featuring interviews with leaders from Health-Ade and Cambridge Company's SPG. But thank you all again for joining us for the New Beverage Showdown semifinal round. Good luck to the contestants, and we'll see you back here on stage at 10 a.m. Thank you so much.